I'm not going to ask you if anybody here has experienced something momentous, some huge change, because, my God, that's been the theme of the day, right? We've all been there. My work centers around change, and I work with professional men and women who want to intentionally navigate some big change in their life. So whether it is the end of a relationship, a significant relationship, they have decided they no longer want to be married, or it has been presented to them. Anyone here ever have that experience? Like out of the blue, hello, what? Or it's a career change. And there are a lot of moving parts, a lot of delicate conversations to happen, whatever, you know. That's kind of you need a map for that, right, to go through it. Or it's a change of life, and we are faced with a dark night of the soul. We no longer can relate to the world the way we used to in our 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever. And, we need a whole new set of rules, and that's difficult. That is tough. Yeah. But I help these people, these amazing people, because they do want to go through it gracefully. They don't just want to survive it. They don't just want to thrive through it, but they want to go through it with grace and come out on the other side, having actually morphed into more of who they truly are, right? They plan to leverage it, right? And I'm really good at that. The reason I'm good at that is because I have learned in my life how to leverage change, how to partner with it, in a way that helps me to save a giant, my quest. When I was 6 years old, I had a dream for 3 nights in a row. This was quite an incredible dream for a 6-year-old to have. I dreamt of a beautiful giant. Oh my gosh, he was as tall as a mountain, and his skin glowed silver. And he didn't have a stitch of hair on his body, and to this day I have no idea what the significance of that is. But something happened, talk about change, something happened in the shift from his world into our world. He was here to help to hold up a cliff, a mountain cliff, so that all the humans in their little cars could go past nice and safe without even realizing that he was there. But this thing that happened to him, in the transition, he lost his giant strength. It was as if he was as weak as a puppy. And because he cared so much about what he had to do, every moment that he stood there trying to hold up this mountain was an agony for him emotionally. Yeah. Well, what I didn't realize at that time was that by the time I was 6 years old, I had become quite familiar with change in my life. By the time I was 4, I had already lived in 6 different states within the United States. I had lived in 3 foster homes. By the time I was 6, I went to boarding school. Now, I'm an only child, right? And my world was adults. I got along well with them. I sat at the dinner table, listened to their conversations, didn't understand kids very well. So when I went off to boarding school and I had to be around kids 24/7, that was a bit crazy. I don't know if any only children here? Yay, sister. Yeah. So, do you think that I had gone through a bit of change by the time I was 4? Yeah, I think so, yeah. By the time I got to my 19th birthday, I had lived in 8 countries. I'd gone to 12 schools, high schools. Never in the beginning of a school year, never in the beginning of a school term. So my life was filled with having to adjust. And I was never consulted. Who was the one that talked about consult your kids? You know, they have a voice. In my mom's generation, kids didn't have a voice, right? So I felt the brunt of that. Those years and that lack of voice left me feeling very empty and ill-prepared for adulthood. And like my giant, I kept feeling myself get weaker and weaker and weaker without the tools somehow, because I was never given the opportunity to develop who I needed to be. They kept moving, right? And I didn't have that strength. Does that mean that I'm 2 minutes over?
No.
Okay, just getting close. Okay, I'm not even there yet. Yeah. But of course, you know, having lived in so many different countries, I did gain osmotically some wonderful gifts. I was able to communicate with people in a way that a lot of people my age when I was a kid weren't able to. Adults would tell me things and secrets that they never told other adults or their kids, you know? So I had that going on, but I didn't really appreciate it at the time, right? I mean, really quickly, a story. When I was 11 years old, I woke up one night, and there was this man standing over my bed, and he had a knife, and he had it in the sheet next to my head, and he said, "Don't move, don't scream, or I will cut you, and I will kill your parents." And so what does an 11-year-old who, you know, is used to adults do? I have a conversation. Wow. You know, what's your name? How did you pick this house? Where do you live? You know, what's going on? I didn't think I was going to die. I was 11, you know, so I just thought I'd have a conversation. Long story short, I ended up walking him to the back door. He didn't bother me. He didn't touch me. He didn't hurt me. Letting him out, closed the door, letting him out, walked over to my mom's and my dad's bedroom, knocked on the door, and told them what happened. I didn't realize it then. But what I realize now is that with all the trouble, with all the changing happened in my life, I still had a gift of being able to make a connection, right? And that is the first. I'm skipping a lot because I want to get to the navigation, the coordinates. You know, we talked a lot about all kinds of things here today, but I really want to just leave you with some coordinates. This is the most important piece that I've learned in my life to navigate change, no matter whether it's, I will change my mind, I'm going to take that as a decaf and no whip, or it's an absolute amygdala hijack moment when you freeze and your natural brilliance in your mind just simply stops and you have no idea what to do next. The first thing, and I love what she talked about, code. The first thing is always to connect. Always to connect. Primarily to connect. If you are in a situation where you need to address something that is in front of you, connect to what inside of you will actually make it worth you going through it if it's something you cannot change. If it is something that you must address and must go through, what will make it worth going? What attribute inside of yourself do you want to train yourself into having by the end of it that will make it worth it? So that's the first one. C, it also, by the way, follows change, the word change, C-H-A-N-G-E, so that makes it easy for you, okay? H, figure out what's hidden. What's the obstacle? What's the secret fear that keeps getting in your way? And look at it in the eye and go, now I'm going to face you. Now I'm going to get you. Now we're going to figure this out together. You know, because chances are it's that obstacle, that fear is part of what got you to this particular change moment in your life, whether it's a divorce or a change of career or whatever it might be. Dark night of the soul, right? So that's H-C-H, I have to spell it out. A is, so I love this phrase, set your face like flint, when they talked about Jesus. You have to pick your attitude. What's your attitude of adventure? Decide. A sailor will always know the reason when he's crossing the world. He will always know the overreaching reason, the connection, what he wants to get out of it, right? By the end of it, because he's going to face storms. So regardless of the kinds of storms he's going to face, he needs to know his big why. He needs to also face his fear, right? What's hidden, right? He needs to know that he's going to work through that, okay? He needs to also set his attitude of adventure, no matter what. N, navigate, set those coordinates, figure out what your first move is going to be, where you're first going to go. Do not figure out the entire journey, because what's going to happen? You're going to have a storm. You're going to be knocked off course. So don't plot it all out, that's a waste of time. Figure out what your first 2 moves are. That's all you need to know, because from those 2 first moves, your perspective entirely changes and you'll know what to do next. G, grace. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi and the Flow Genome Project talk about flow. It comes in 4 stages. And the first stage is actually struggle. We cannot reach flow without a struggle. So what they recommend is learn how to struggle gracefully. Okay, and E is embody. Take your first step. Just, you have that beautiful plan. Go ahead and take that first action. And I want to leave you with one thing. Always remember that no human ever escapes being human, and that we are made of the seas on which we sail. And where you sit right now, begin. It's holy ground. Thank you.